In our dialogue, the leaders agreed on issues with the new way of work. Here is Tracey Martin, an operations manager at Microsoft, sharing some of those issues.
The first issue, as we talked about, what prevents us from thriving at work was not enough focus on self-care. We had a bit of a dialogue about, if you don't put on your own oxygen mask first, you can't help those around you. And the need to really put self-care front and center. And that was sort of seen as a barrier to thriving if you don't do that. The second issue, I think, is one that every single room has come up with, the lack of boundaries between work and home life. And we talked a lot about, we used the word blurring and that sort of just that. Actually, I think we talked about the fact that we're now living at work as opposed to living at home, right? And there was a lot of dialogue around that and the challenges that brings up. And the third issue, which kind of followed on from that, was we talked about the high intensity of the working day and the fact that, even the basics like, a commute to work, a commute home, moving from office to office, meeting room to meeting room, just always, in the previous world, in our previous lives, there was natural breaks and movement throughout the day. Whereas now there's this level of intensity that the working day nearly starts earlier, finishes later, and no breaks in between. And that level of intensity is just a pace that is just picking up and is challenging people more and more. The fourth issue we talked about actually was around empathy. And here we pivoted on the fact that we had an interesting conversation about empathy, because actually where it was talking about the fact that, look, people transitioned into this work from home space very dramatically, very quickly. And there was a lot of empathy at the time around that. And now we're going back into this world of, well, what does hybrid look like? And what will organizations ask of people in that regard? And there was a bit of a discussion around there needs to be continuation of empathy and true empathy for people as they embrace and evolve through a period of change again, right? And that change is going to look different for different people in different organizations. So that's something we'd started to tease out, but I think it was a particularly interesting one, and maybe one we haven't heard. Last one was lack of top-down approach to prioritization. So I think that's kind of does what it says in the tin. So amazing. The need to prioritize work.